Hello friends and welcome to part 7 of this tutorial where we'll be building an Instagram clone using FlutterFlow and Supabase. So in the previous video, we just completed our UI for all the pages in our app, and in this video we'll be starting on the back end using Supabase. So we had already previously linked our Supabase project to our FlutterFlow project. We can go and check by going to Settings and Integrations and scrolling down all the way to Supabase over here, so make sure that it is linked properly. So in this video, we'll be seeing how we can create Supabase tables to store all of our data which our app needs. So we'll be focusing on creating our post table, which will store all the data about the posts created by our users. So our posts table will have these columns over here. So let's go ahead and go back to our Supabase dashboard, and under table editor, we want to create a new table. We'll name this table posts. Make sure that your table names all start with a lowercase letter to make it much easier later when we introduce SQL queries. And we also want to disable row level security for now. So we can see that our table is already populated with two default columns, namely the ID column, which is of type integer 8, which is an 8-bit integer, and is set as the primary column. So what a primary column is, or a primary key, it basically is a unique identifier to identify each row inside a column. So this field or this column ID will be unique throughout the entire table, and it cannot be duplicated. Next is the created at column, which is basically the time where the row was inserted, and is set at a default value of now. So basically the moment the row is inserted into the column, it will set the time field as the time. So now we need to add a couple of other rows. The next row that we want to add is the posted by row. So this field will store the user ID of the user who posted the post, and so that we can track who posted the post. So for the type, it will be this UUID option, and we can just get rid of this default value. If you click on this gear icon, you can see that there are some extra options as well. We want to click this is nullable option to be false, because we need this posted by field to be populated every time the row is inserted to make sure that the post is linked to at least one user. Next will be the image path. So we can add the column image underscore path. This will store the image path of the uploaded image, and this will be of type text. Next, it will be description, or the caption of the post. Let's leave it as description for now. So it will also be of type text. Next, it will be a like count. So this will be the number of likes the post has, and this will be an integer 8. For the default value, we can give it a default value of 0, since when the post is first posted, it will have 0 likes. And now is the comment count. It will also likewise be of type int8 and will have a default value of 0. And one more thing that we have to do is we have to scroll down over here and add a foreign key, or foreign key relation. So basically what a foreign key relation is a link between the data of two tables. So for example, our posted by field over here contains the user ID of one of our users, and our user ID is also stored in our authentication table in Supabase. So this field, our posted by field, will reference the user ID field stored in our authentication table in Supabase. So how to add foreign key relation, you may ask? Well, it's very simple. We can just click on add foreign key relation, and we want to select the schema of authentication, since our authentication table is stored in the auth schema. And we also want to select the table that we want to reference to. So the table that we want to reference to is our users table. And here you can see that we now can select columns from auth users to reference to. So from our public.posts table, we want to set it to posted by. So this is the column that is referencing the auth users table. And inside the auth users table, we are referencing the ID column, which is the user ID. We can scroll down over here as well, and for actions, if reference row is updated, so if our auth user row is updated, then we also want to choose the option to cascade. Cascade basically means whatever is updated here will also be updated in our public.posts. And if the reference row is removed, so if the user deletes his or her account, we also want to delete all rows that are posted by the user. So all posts that are posted by the user as well. So we will choose cascade as well. So now we can finally save our table and save this, and you should see that a new table has been inserted called posts. We can try to insert a row manually. You can see that the ID is automatically generated, so we don't need to give that anything. This has a default value of null, so we also don't need to give it anything. Now for the posted by, we can select a record, and you see we have two users that we previously created. So this user has email of axolotl was taken at gmail.com, and this is the test user. Let's just try the test user for now. And now it auto fills in the user ID for us. For the image path, let's just name it null for now. And for the description, this is a test post. We can leave this like count as well as comment count as 0 or null because it'll automatically set it to 0. Then we can save this, and you can see that a new row has been inserted over here with all of the data that we set just now. Yes, and now that we have created our table, we actually have to go back to FlutterFlow, and under settings and integrations, we have to go to Supabase, and whenever you update a table or insert and create a new table, you have to get the schema once more. So now FlutterFlow is up to date on whatever tables that you have created in Supabase. So it's a very good practice to constantly get the schema in FlutterFlow whenever you make any changes to your Supabase tables, as this usually causes a lot of people or a lot of beginners a lot of problems at the start. So make sure to get your schema. Alright, so yep, that wraps it up for this very short video and short introduction to tables in Supabase. In the next video, we'll be seeing how we can use the newly created tables, the post tables, to actually implement the new post functionality in FlutterFlow. And we'll be seeing how we can allow the user to insert new posts into our newly created post table in Supabase. So stay tuned for that, and I'll see you in the next video.